to this computer. Okay, well, we did it. I am so sorry. I'm sorry to all of you who are watching the recording who tried to get on. I had a feeling we might max out at 100 and we just maxed out at 100. So I'm sorry, but I'm so thankful that you're watching this recording. And to each of you who are on here live tonight, we are so happy to have you. It's our honor and our privilege to share our journeys with you and to connect with each of you and share some really helpful information that you can implement starting tonight. There's stuff that you can, add on throughout your life, but there's stuff that you can even do starting tonight. So I hope you feel really excited about being here tonight, about being one of the 100 that made it in on time. And we're going to go ahead and share screen. And I've got my timer going, only 10 minutes, Amy. So I'll let each of the girls introduce themselves as we come up. But my name is Amy Coppola. I have been a health and wellness coach for 12, 13 years. I was teaching STEP when I was 20 years old. I've grown up in gyms. So it was to my big surprise a few years ago when in the midst of a lot of life stresses, I started experiencing weight gain. I started experiencing insomnia, hot flashes, aching joints, all kinds of things that were just like, what in the world is going on with my body? Here I am, an exercise and nutrition coach, and I don't know what is going on with my body. So it was through my own personal challenges that I was gifted this opportunity to understand that although exercise and nutrition are extremely important, they aren't just the only things that we need to be focusing on. It goes a lot deeper. And what we're going to talk a lot about tonight is lifestyle. And what we like to say is that lifestyle got you here and lifestyle will get you out. We are going to share some, products, some supplements, different things that you can use, but it really, really starts with your lifestyle. So we are going to do the majority of our focus on lifestyle tips for here tonight. The format of this call is we are going to go over stress and sleep, toxic load, gut health, blood sugar regulation, and nutrient-dense diet, and then some basic hormone literacy as far as the hormone hierarchy and continued education. So here we go. You ready? All right. So like I was starting to say here, my journey began when I started having all of these issues myself. And I had been doing the same workout routine, the same nutrition, and everything I thought, was exactly what it should be. But all of these symptoms started showing up here. So I want you to read some of these symptoms that are shown here. And I want you in the chat, drop the number of these that you've experienced yourself. And we are going to touch right now, we're touching on my perimenopause journey, but this entire call is not just about your 40s or your 50s. This is about your entire life. And this is about you understanding the impact that hormones play on your entire health and well-being throughout your entire life. So for me, I was doing all of these things. I was going through these motions. I was waking up and working out first thing in the morning as soon as I took my pre-workout. And it was a clean and healthy pre-workout. And I had this healthy exercise routine, but my body started backfiring on me. And all of these things started happening. And I had to take a good look when I started digging into hormone health and understand what was going on with my cortisol levels. Now, we don't need our cortisol levels to be on the flat side of the road all the time. That's not our goal. Our goal is for us to be able to have cortisol when we need it. Cortisol is a great thing. Cortisol is something that we produce when we have a great high intensity workout, when we really challenge ourselves in the need of an emergency where you're able to act fast. We need cortisol, right? Cortisol is not evil. What happens when we start getting into these challenges is when our cortisol is up and it stays up and it stays up and it stays up. And we're doing things maybe in our day-to-day life that we aren't even realizing are really causing us to not give our nervous system the time to go, to breathe. When we sit down on the couch and our brains are racing and we can't feel that present moment, that we just want to be present with our family without feeling all of these things. So, again, we want to talk about today how we can bring our cortisol to have this healthy fluctuation and not be staying in that jacked up space where it actually can steal. Our bodies are designed to reproduce, right? And so what happens, our bodies, when we start being in this super high state of stress, our bodies are going to prioritize our survival. So when they think that we are stressed out to the max, everything else that our bodies are designed to do is going to go to the wayside while our body continues to pump because we need more cortisol. We need more cortisol. Okay. So if you start understanding what that could potentially be doing to our hormones. And that is, was one of the realizations that I came to. My friend Jenny Swisher talked to me one day and she said, Amy, you're not just talking about sex hormones when you talk about hormones. And to me, that was all I was thinking of, right? How about you? Estrogen, progesterone, testosterone. That's what I thought of when I thought of hormones. I didn't realize that this was a very, much more than that. It involved my thyroid. It involved adrenals. It involved your blood sugar regulation. And then, yes, your sex hormones as well. But what happens if you have a four-legged chair and one of those legs, so for me, it was my cortisol, was super duper long or super duper short? The entire chair is going to topple over, right? So as I was stuck in this high cortisol space, my other hormones just started going all kinds of out of whack. Now, what can cause high cortisol? And like I said, I was doing this routine that I had done for years and years, all throughout my 30s and coming into my 40s. And even when I was 43, 44, this is when this started happening to me. And it wasn't just because of my age. I was also going through some really, really challenging times, personal times in my life. And so stress was number one. What could cause high cortisol? Stress, life, right? We all have stress. That's normal. Lack of sleep, the standard American diet, aka the SAD diet, poor hydration, too intensive exercise. If you're, doing these high intensity workouts 6, 7 days a week and not giving your body the proper time to recover, that, exercise can wind up being something that's going to come back and bite you in the butt. Illness, anxiety, alcohol, hormonal imbalances, all of these things can contribute to high cortisol. So on the flip side, what can we do to regulate cortisol? Hydration. So I started right away when I started learning about all this, I started taking an electrolyte first thing in the morning instead of my pre-workout. I knew that when I woke up, I needed to nourish my body versus throwing fire on my body first thing in the morning, right? Same thing if you're a coffee drinker. And we're not going to say never have caffeine, but we want to do things in a way that is like a big hug for our bodies, right? That tells our bodies, you are safe, you are nourished, you are good, everything's going to be awesome. Regular moderate exercise, nutrient-rich foods, good sleep, meditation, and even things like block breathing before eating. And we're going to talk a little bit more about that in the next slide, because these are things that we want to encourage you to habit stack. And what does habit stack mean? That means if there's something that you're already doing in your life. So let's say every morning you wake up and you brush your teeth, right? I hope so. I do. Every morning when you wake up and you brush your teeth, what's something that you could add to that, routine that you already have in place? Maybe you could box breathe just for a few minutes before you brush your teeth. And box breathing, if you don't know what it is, let's do it all together. I'm at how many? I'm at 7 minutes. We're going to take 30 seconds to take a few box breaths together. And what I mean by box breathing is you're going to breathe in. So everybody on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3, breathe in. And you're going to hold 2, 3, 4, and you're going to exhale 2, 3, 4. You're going to pause at the bottom 2, 3, 4. And then again, inhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. Exhale 2, 3, 4. Hold 2, 3, 4. And you know what's so beautiful about this? You can do this anywhere. It doesn't cost anything. And more importantly, you can teach this to your children. I have a teenage daughter who needs box breathing. And I'm so happy that I had that tool in my tool belt to help her realize that she can have control when she's feeling anxious, when she's feeling crazy, wherever she is, she knows that she can stop and take a few breaths in a specific pattern that can really help her regulate her feelings, her emotions. Here's some other tips that you can do to regulate your cortisol. If you can take daily walk outdoors, whether you can do it in the morning, that would be amazing if you have that option to do that in the morning and get that fresh morning light. If not, how about on your lunch break at work? Is there an outdoor corridor that you could walk through? And we talked about it quickly, but postponing caffeine. Again, you don't have to give up caffeine, but I'd encourage you to cut back if you can, maybe, just to a little bit less than what you're doing right now, but let's postpone it. Let's give our body that nourishment first thing and when we wake up and greet it in the morning, and then move into the states of caffeine. High quality vitamin and mineral supplementation, intentional breath, and a nighttime routine for optimal rest. Now, I'm talking about optimal rest, so we are going to naturally talk about sleep. And as you begin to help your cortisol levels and learn how to flow instead of staying in that constant fight or flight, you can also start having a better time with your sleep at night. I know I was having a terrible time. I was having insomnia, a terrible time falling asleep. Then I would wake up in the middle of the night. Then I was waking up in these big sweaty puddles. It was a nightmare, right? But as I began to take control of those cortisol tips, I began regulating my nervous system, which helped me sleep better. How can poor sleep affect your health? We all know that we feel like a zombie after a day of not sleeping well, right? So imagine a week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. Some of you, and I know because it was me too, are operating on 5 and 6 hours of sleep per night. And I'm good. I can do that. I still say that. I'm good. Anybody else? But you know what? You could be great. I could be great. I've learned, thank you to my Aura Ring, I've learned when I have optimal sleep at 7 to 8 hours a night, I do perform much better the next day. My cognitive function is better. My emotional well-being, I'm much less snappy with my teenage children. My immune system is stronger, right, than if I'm, just running on fumes. The hormonal imbalances have a better, opportunity to improve my mental health, my performance when I do my workouts, heart health, insulin sensitivity, which we're going to talk a lot more about a little bit later, and weight gain. That lack of sleep every night can contribute to your blood sugar levels, and that can also contribute to your weight gain, especially in the midsection. So how can you improve your sleep? We want to think about before bedtime protein and healthy fats versus starchy carbs and sugar close to bedtime. We're also going to think about limiting our screen time before bed, with the exception of tonight. We are going to think about limiting our screen time before bed. And I know I'm just as guilty as you. I sit and scroll through my phone to fall asleep, right? So what can we do? And I'll share with you later if you text me or message me on whichever channel. I'll share with you a sleep yoga, like a sleep meditation that I've started listening to that's really helped me. Put the phone down and listen to something that helps my body relax. Create a blacked out room. Also, drop the temperature in your room, especially as you're moving into these later stages in life. You want to have 65 to 68 degrees as the recommended temperature. And you want to try and regulate your blood sugar throughout the day. Again, we're going to talk about that a little bit more. And then one of the supplements that's really helped me is a quality magnesium glycinate at nighttime. I usually take those right after dinner, and that has been, a big game changer. Jamie will talk more about that later. But go ahead and screenshot this if you'd like. Think about things, and I know that you're not going to necessarily do every single thing tonight, but think about one thing that you could start with to start improving your sleep, and also from the other screen as well, your cortisol levels. I am going to quit talking and turn it over to Carly. Carly, you here?
Yes, so good. Thank you, Amy. Jamie can't get in, so you might want to message that. Okay, so everyone, hi, welcome to tonight. Thank you so much, Amy. My name is Carly, and my journey started off a little different. It actually started with a tampon, and I'll get to that in a minute. But my husband and I actually had to go through IVF to conceive both of our kids. And I like to say when we know better, we do better, because there was so much I did not know at the time. I actually texted these women. I was like, before the call, I was like, it is so crazy to me that my kids were made in a lab, literally inserted into my vagina, my uterus, and nobody told me about endocrine disrupting chemicals and the effects that they can have on our overall hormones, but also our fertility and things like that. So like Amy said, when we think of hormones, we tend to think of like two or three different things and pregnancy and stuff like that, but it affects so much of our overall well-being. And not just for women, it also affects men too. Our fertility issues actually stemmed from my husband's sperm. And that's something that endocrine disrupting chemicals have completely taken over. Okay, so for reference, my kids are 2, she just turned 2, and 4.5. And when we started our fertility journey, it was 1 in 8 couples that were going through fertility. And then now it's already 1 in 6, and my kids are still so young. So if you are past your baby making days and you have closed that door, this can be impactful for your kids, your nieces, other women, people. Just it's when we know better, we can do better, and so this will create a ripple effect for generations to come. So, okay, Amy, you want to switch slides? So, what is the real deal with endocrine? Well, let me go back. So, my journey started with a tampon. When we were in the waiting room at the fertility clinic, I was like, Sean, why are there so many couples in here? Like, why is it a revolving door? Why, why is the waiting room packed? And every single appointment, it didn't matter if we were going in there for blood work or monitoring, it was packed. And I came home from one of my first appointments and I looked at my tampons and I was shocked to find bleach in them. Nobody had told me. Nobody told me that what you put in, on, and around your body like really matters, and we absorb that stuff. It gets into our bloodstream. It affects every part of our hormonal system. And the way endocrine disrupting chemicals work, so they're found in all kinds of things, personal care products, our food, plastic. And the idea is not to completely eliminate them, but to make smarter choices. So think about the things that you use most, the things that you're putting on your body in the shower, the things that you're coming in contact with every single day. Making simple swaps there is going to drastically reduce your toxic load, and that is in turn going to help your hormones function better and your overall body work together as a whole. Because like Amy touched on, sleep, even for that, for example, if you're putting toxic stuff on in the shower right before you go to bed, your body's going to work harder at night to eliminate that, to detox it. So it affects our overall health and our hormones. And what EDCs really do is they mimic our hormones, they block our body's natural hormones, they alter them, they interfere with them, and then that can lead to low quality sperm, abnormalities in growth as we're pregnant and growing our babies, endometriosis, early puberty, nervous system, immune function, sleep issues, cancer, respiratory problems. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Diabetes, cardiovascular problems, and also neurodevelopment in our children when they're exposed to this stuff at a young age and they're growing and developing. This can have a real impact on them. So like I said, if you're past those baby making years, this can impact your kids no matter what age they are too. And it's not just on our cycle hormones or our pregnancy hormones. It literally can lead to all of this stuff. So it's great information for men too. And I will say, when you can go to the next screen, Amy, when we switched out, some of the things that you can do to improve this and help your hormone health is making simple swaps. And when we made simple swaps and used high quality vitamins for my husband and changed out some of these things after I looked at my tampons and I was like, well, what are we doing here? Like, anyways, his sperm count went up to 20 million. So it was 1.5 million when we started fertility. It went up to 20 million. And because of our age and the season we were at, they still didn't want to swim. They were kind of lazy guys. So that's why we continued on our fertility journey. But I got to see in real time the effects of these products and what using high quality things can do for our body and how it can really improve certain areas that we're looking to work on. So I'm going to leave you guys with some 6 simple ways that you can make some swaps. Be intentional in your thoughts, and just it can feel overwhelming. I know when I looked at my tampons, I was like, okay, we're going to start in one area. Maybe it's your laundry room, maybe it's your kitchen, maybe it's your makeup bag or what you're using in the shower. You can pick an area, or you can pick a couple areas that you use things every single day to reduce your toxic load. So plastics, that's going to be a big one. You can think about Ziploc bags, easily interchangeable with glass containers, things like that. Even plastic wraps. I know receipts, when I heard that, I was like, oh my gosh. So just, do a digital receipt, ditch the water bottles, and just be cognizant of your plastic use. And then also personal care products. Again, this is the big one for women. We put on I think it was 12 to 18 different personal care products a day, from our tampons to our shampoo to our lotion to our supplements. So just being mindful of what you use there and how it's absorbed straight into our bodies and into our bloodstream can make a huge difference and can have a huge impact on inflammation. And when I started doing this, I was getting really bad mood swings. I was getting really bad period cramps. I can tell you guys without a sliver of a doubt, I can't even tell you when my period's coming. It still comes like clockwork, but I'm not getting that intense bloating, those cramps, and intense mood swings. And I haven't done anything so crazy that it's like, taking that away. I've just been more aware, making smarter choices for my body and the things that I put in, on, and around it. So that being said, fragrances are a big one and a big hormone disruptor. So anything from candles in your house to air fresheners, those plug-ins. Lord, I go to my in-laws' house and I unplug them all right when I get there because their house is just full of them. So being aware of that, and then like dousing our bodies with perfume. There are some really good hormone safe ones out there if you're a perfume wearer. So again, some simple swaps that you can make to really support yourself and your body. Cleaning products are a big one. I remember this because, you think about it, you spray your tub with bleach or you spray your counter with Lysol, and then you're putting your kids' food on there or snacks, or then you're putting them in a tub of bath water after you just cleaned with bleach. That right there is just going to absorb into their bodies and things like that. So cleaning products are a big one because when we're spraying it, we're kind of inhaling it as well, or it's getting on our skin as we're wiping it. So that's a very simple swap that you guys can do. Water filtration systems to eliminate some of those toxins, and then air filtration because we can't control it all. All we can do is make some simple and intentional swaps. And then I had to put vitamins on there and really going with bioavailable ones, things that are not synthetically made, right? So even the example of folic acid and folate. Just be cognizant of those type of things because a lot of times either it makes our body work harder to convert them into what we actually need, or we're just peeing them out and we're wasting our money. So, and I'm going to touch on a little bit of reconsider birth control if that's something you can do or want to do, but that's going to be something that is synthetic. That's also going to mess with your body's natural hormones and kind of sway them one way or another. But personal care products, women, that's like an easy one to start with. And a lot of them are unregulated and full of things that we can easily eliminate and easily make simple swaps. And again, if this doesn't apply to you, the whole fertility stuff, generations to come, you can think about your daughters and your nieces and even your neighbors. So, yeah, that's all I got. Try to make it quick, Amy.
Thank you so much. That was awesome. Next up, we have Kaylee that's going to talk about gut health. Who's excited for gut health? Hands, hands, hands everywhere. I know, I know. Okay, let me share screen. Kaylee, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
I was like, am I the only one who can't see the slides? Is it me? Do I have technology issues? Is Mercury in retrograde?
No, here we go. Oh,
Okay, well, I'll just start off by introducing myself. For those of you
yes.
guys who don't know me, my name's Kaylee Calabrese, and I am a certified holistic health coach, certified through International Practitioners of Holistic Medicine, Institute for Integrative Nutrition, and I'm in the middle of getting my naturopathy practitioner certification. I've been doing this for 16 years, and my specialties have lied in perimenopause as well as gut health. So these are like two areas that I just love. And the thing is that it's so interesting. I feel like our personal journeys often, like for me, my work mimics my personal journey. And I started my gut healing journey back in 2017. And I had no idea at the time how significant, like gut health hadn't really hit, as a trending topic yet. People weren't really talking about gut health. At this point, gut health was like, Pepto-Bismol and Imodium AD and Gas X. Like that was the extent of the conversation about gut health. And since then, we've learned so much about how our gut truly impacts every aspect of our well-being. And that includes our hormones. So just to give you a really simple breakdown of how does our gut and the quality of the integrity of our gut health impact how our hormones show up for us every single day. So the first one is a lot of people don't realize that hormones can actually be produced, or hormone production starts in our gut. So our good gut bacteria, they actually help produce as well as regulate hormones. And this includes hormones outside of those that we're referring to as sex hormones. And I'm going to explain something about that in just a little bit. But it helps with the production of serotonin, which is a mood hormone, right? One of our feel-good hormones. Insulin, which is our blood sugar hormone. So that impacts our energy, our weight, our mental clarity, and even some of our sex hormones. Our gut is responsible for breaking down the food that we eat, and how well our body is able to break that food down determines what we're actually able to absorb. So there's that saying, we are what we eat, but actually it should be, we are what we can absorb. So a healthy gut helps us to absorb essential nutrients, vitamins, minerals, amino acids that are needed for hormone production and balanced hormones. Our guts play a crucial role in detoxification. So Carly just shared with us a lot about endocrine disrupting chemicals and how these can impact our body. Well, there's two ways to reduce our toxic load. One is to reduce our exposure to the chemicals in the first place, which Carly just shared with us. But two is to support the detoxification systems that help us to flush those endocrine disrupting chemicals out. So the gut helps to metabolize and remove excess hormones like estrogen, which tends to be very dominant, especially in early perimenopause. We actually have a unique subset of bacteria in our gut known as the estrobolome. And this is something that's just recently kind of come back on the scene. People are just starting to talk about it again. And it specifically is responsible for hormone signaling and hormone metabolism. So if our guts are not diversified, if we don't have that good bacteria and we don't have the right bacteria, signals aren't getting sent, hormones aren't getting produced, excess hormones aren't getting metabolized, which allows them to be flushed out. So when things sit, like if we're not having 1 to 3 healthy bowel movements a day, did you guys know that that's what's normal? 1 to 3 every single day. So I want you to drop in the chat how many times you poop a day. And if it's not daily, how many times do you poop a week? Because you guys would be shocked. Ooh, that's my supplement reminder. You guys would be shocked at the number of people that I talk to every single week who poop maybe once a week, even once every 2 weeks, and didn't realize how problematic that was for their hormone health. So when that's sitting, not only are things not being moved out of the body, but as it's sitting, things are molding, things are fermenting, toxins are being reabsorbed back into the tissue. So our guts are crucial for detoxification. They're also playing a really important role in inflammation control. So when our gut is healthy, it actually reduces inflammation and how that inflammation spreads throughout our body. So when we have elevated inflammation levels, we tend to see elevated or dysregulated cortisol, disruptions in our thyroid hormones. So often thyroid conditions start with the health of our gut. And like Amy was saying earlier, that is one of those legs on that 4-legged chair. If your thyroid's not optimized, everything else is going to go off. If your gut's not optimized, it's likely eventually going to impact your thyroid. So it's all connected. And then our stress response, which Amy has touched on. So you guys will see that everything is like a web and it all touches on each other and each thing impacts the next. So the stress response, our gut, it communicates with the brain to help regulate hormones like cortisol, and it helps balance our stress hormones. We have a vagus nerve. It travels from the gut to the brain. Signals are being sent in both directions throughout the day. So if our gut is disrupted, our mood is going to be disrupted. So what can we do to help support our gut health? You know, if you're thinking like, okay, I struggle with anxiety, I struggle with hormonal issues, I struggle with joint pain or inflammation, I'm not pooping 1 to 3 times a day like Kaylee says I should be. You know, any of these things, then you're going to want to start to do some simple foundational things. And this is the thing. We get told that gut health is like a lot about supplementation and all these things. And there are supplements that are supplemental. The supplements can help. They're supplemental. What do we really need to focus on in our day-to-day lives if we want to start to maintain or optimize our gut health? I would say first is eating fiber-rich foods. So including plenty of veggies, fruits, whole grains, legumes, all of these things are really rich in fiber. We hear so much about protein, and I'm not knocking protein, it's important. But if you're eating all the protein and you're not eating fiber with it, you're not going to break that protein down into its usable parts, its amino acids, and your gut diversity and health is going to suffer. Number two, adding things like fermented foods. So kimchi, sauerkraut, miso, things that will naturally help to boost our good gut bacteria. Also staying hydrated, so drinking enough water to help support digestion and protect the gut lining, the health of the gut lining. Limiting processed foods. So this is a big one, and this is going to impact blood sugar as well, which I'm sure Jamie's going to talk about in a minute, but cutting back on your sugar, those artificial food dyes that the food babe has been fighting so hard to get out of our food here in the US that's not included in our food in other countries. Refined carbs like white bread, lots of white flours, things where all the fiber and the nutrients have been removed. And then the last is getting back to what Amy touched on earlier, which is managing stress. So practicing, there's a fly. Practicing deep breathing, meditation. I love doing yin yoga or yoga nidra before bedtime, getting adequate sleep. All the things that Amy shared with you earlier are going to help to manage stress. But I would say if you want to habit stack these things, what I would do is I would habit stack that 1 minute of box breathing that Amy showed us how to do before breakfast, lunch, and dinner. You will put your body into rest and digest before you eat, which will help optimize your digestion, which will optimize your nutrient absorption. It will also optimize your excretion and your detoxification. So that's 1 minute, 3 times a day to truly support not just your gut health, but your hormone health as well.
Am I up?
You are up.
And I got in the call. Very excited. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jamie Pfeiffer. I'm in Savannah. I'm a mom of 2 children who I just made go upstairs and be quiet. So we'll see if the cats can stay quiet. I am an NTP, which is a nutritional therapy practitioner. And I love working alongside Kaylee, and you'll hear us say a lot of similar things. And hopefully that will sink into your brain, because as she focuses very highly with hormones and blood sugar, the foundation of my practice is all the things we're talking about here, how the 5 foundations of health really work together. So sleep, stress, blood sugar regulation, digestion, and nutrient-dense diet. And before I went back to school to do this, I thought I could just focus on nutrient-dense diet and that would fix everything. And as we get older and we start to go, oh, shoot, and the more you learn, you go, but if my cortisol is spiked, like Amy talked about, everything in my body just deregulates. So everything downshifts to only focus on all the blood going to our extremities and making cortisol, so all the other systems unalign. And before I even start talking about this, I had a client text me on the way home from soccer a minute ago, and she's going, hey, I've been doing so great. And all of a sudden I'm not pooping that much, but I'm doing everything the same. And we're going through the list. And all of a sudden I said, well, what's your stress level like? And she's like, oh, it's been off the chain. I'm like rushing through everything. I'm like, okay, then that's one simple tweak we can do right there, is that box breathing before meals. One thing, a 1 minute simple hack of breathing before you eat. Or chewing your food more. And sometimes when we say these things, people go, well, that sounds simple. Yes, but in actuality, doing it and implementing that habit stacking, like Kaylee just said, so tomorrow I want you to chew every single bite of food 10 to 15 times. And you're gonna get real tired. You'll be like, this is taking forever. I don't want to do it. So that's why sometimes for my clients, the simplest suggestions are the hardest. But just getting in your brain, have like a little note on your phone. chew my food, box breathe for a minute. All right, so now let's talk about blood sugar because this is something I am very passionate about because most of the women I've worked with so far in my practice, the two biggest issues I see when our reports come back are blood sugar regulation and stress, cortisol. And the two go hand in hand. And they go, why am I dealing with thyroid issues? Why am I dealing with all this other stuff, high cholesterol, that is truly a ripple effect of blood sugar regulation? And if you guys want to write down this book, a few years ago, I read this book that was very life-changing for me and the way I feed my children, which is Glucose Revolution. And I think she's Glucose Goddess on Instagram. And we're going to go through all these things, but the simplest hacks in there of just changing the order in which we eat our food, simple things. So I don't ever want to teach my children, I don't ever want to say to them, you can't have that, that's bad. Like that's the way I grew up. That has fat in it, I don't want you to eat it. How about we just shift our focus? Like my children know when they sit down at the dinner table, if we have chicken, mac and cheese, and veggies, I don't even have to say it at this point. They know, like Kaylee said too, we are eating fiber first. They're eating that veggies first. So wherever they go, it's an instilled practice in them that I don't tell them, hey, that food's bad. I just tell them, I want you to eat that at the end of the meal. So how does dysregulated blood sugar impact you daily? So we're not even going to talk about the inconsequences, the ripple effect that it can cause, but right here, energy crashes, cravings. That's a big one. People say, oh my gosh, I'm craving sugar. It's because think about that roller coaster your body's going on all day long. When you're spiking your blood sugar, what goes up must come down. So when it goes down, your body's craving more. So then you're doing this all day long instead of maybe starting that morning and your kids' morning. This is a huge thing for me that I like to focus on our kids' mornings with protein. Because imagine if we're sending their little brains off to school, having spiked their blood sugar, and right as they walk into that classroom, their teacher has to deal with them on the down curve. Like that's not going to help them pay attention. It's not going to help their brain capability, their performance. And same for us at work and throughout our day. If we're spiking and crashing and just trying to get that, train back on the line all day, you can't even focus on what you really wanted to do that day. So inflammation, this is another big one. When people say, God, I feel bloated, I feel this, maybe it's what I'm eating. If we address the inflammation with the lymphatic massage, all these different little easy tweaks that we can put together. Sleep disturbances, this is a big one. The more we spike our blood sugar throughout the day, the worse we are going to sleep. So even think about wine. I don't have it on right now because it's dead, but I have an Oura ring and I love watching when I've had alcohol at night, or if I do have some sugar with the kids or something before bed, how my resting heart rate is higher and how my sleep, how many times at night I wake up. Because I had that sugar right before bed instead of a protein snack. All right, so let's go through the tips. Obviously, reduced refined carbs. That's one right there. If we have healthy sweet potatoes versus something with added sugar. But I want to go back down to what we were talking about before with start meals with fiber first. If one thing you can start doing tomorrow with your family is that when you plate a meal, make sure, or when you're getting dinner ready for your kids, when you're making dinner, if you're snacking on veggies or you eat a salad really quick with a vinegar-based dressing, that's going to completely change the way your body is going to process that food. So if you're snacking on, say at a Mexican restaurant, chips and salsa, your blood sugar spikes, your satiety level changes, and you will almost eat double the amount that you would have eaten if you had started that meal, even if you had some broccoli at home. I know you're like, that's odd. Okay, but have like some cherry tomatoes, a small salad before you leave the house. You have a good 1 to 2 hour window right there that will stabilize that blood sugar before you go out. If you have a plate of food, or for me, I like to do bowls. And people say, well, how am I going to eat my bowl? Just make sure you have 4 to 5 bites of the veggies first, then move to the protein, and then combine all of the things in the bowl, like the rice and all in one bite. But just make sure the veggies hit your mouth first, followed by the protein and healthy fat. Move your body for 10 minutes after a meal, especially at dinner. I see this a lot, is our heaviest meals at the end of the day when it's going to cause our blood sugar to spike even more. We could eat that same exact dinner first thing in the morning, and our blood sugar will not spike the way it will at night. So we're loading up on this heavy meal at dinner, and then we lay on the couch. So imagine shifting our focus to the heavier meals at breakfast and lunch, and then after dinner, making sure that we're moving. Sometimes I'll make sure I go do laundry, I do the dishes. That's when I do my thing to keep myself and my feet moving around. An easy one in the morning that I was doing wrong is I was waking up first thing in the morning and running to the kitchen and chugging my Energize. So when we have caffeine on an elevated state of cortisol, so when we wake up in the morning, first thing, our cortisol is already up. So then imagine we spike it more up. And then if we did a hard workout, it's way even higher, so now we're off the charts. So imagine if before that we did something with electrolytes for our kidneys, and then we had some protein, and then we had our caffeine. So now we're kind of like creeping a little bit and bringing it down, creeping a little bit and bringing it down. Instead of that humongous spike that after that hard workout, then we're rushing to make breakfast, get the kids to school, do this. You probably never got that cortisol to drop back down. And again, I say cortisol because that's tied in hand with blood sugar regulation. And I already talked about that is don't have carbs and sugar before bed. Stick to an earlier dinner if possible to have like a solid at least 12-hour window between eating. And the last thing that I didn't write on here is to make sure you're not snacking between meals unless you're truly hungry. Like don't pick at foods. You want your body to get to the point that it's like, hey, I'm hungry, feed me. If we're snacking all day long, our blood sugar can't do what it needs to do. All right, nutrient dense. We talked a little bit about this, and I do have a little bit about supplements in here too. And Kaylee, covered a little bit of this. We want whole, unprocessed, minimally processed foods. The problem is, even when we're doing everything right, and that's why I have supplementation at the end here, is because the food quality is not what it used to be. The magnesium levels in our food are not what they used to be. So I would love to say, like, go out and get everything at farmers markets where the food is probably still more nutrient dense, even if the soil's still depleted, like it has been everywhere. But that's not always the reality. So sometimes there is a need for supplementation. And especially in perimenopause or any time of your life, we need to make sure we're getting enough healthy fats. Who's got those emojis up? We need to make sure we're getting enough healthy fats, and for the reason that hormones are created from cholesterol and essential fatty acids. And I like to say this a lot of like, I can only see 6 people, but for those of you who were raised in the era of I cannot believe it's not butter, we were taught that fat was bad. But fat is what our brain needs. That's our brain's long-term fuel. So think carbs is our short-term fuel. Healthy fats is that long-term fuel, like for a marathon runner or for us who have to go all day long and we are Uber drivers and we're this and we got to keep making it through. A lot of times because of that blood sugar dysregulation, we think we're craving carbs, but if we just had half an avocado drizzled with olive oil and some sea salt, like our brain is actually asking for fat, but we perceive that as we need carbs, we need sugar. So make sure you're getting in those essential fatty acids. I do pretty much with every single meal. MCT oil in my shake. I make sure my snack has hummus. I'm getting in eggs every single day. I have salmon occasionally. So I'm getting all those healthy fats in and I'm not being scared of them. Magnesium. This is a big one that I love to talk about because 80% of people are deficient in this mineral. This mineral is needed for 300 different enzymatic reactions in our body. So think about, we say, oh, I'm deficient in vitamin D. I'm going to take a supplement for it. But if you're deficient in magnesium, that supplement is not going to fire. So then you're still deficient and you're just peeing it out. So we need to make sure we have magnesium in a form that's actually absorbable. So I look at a lot of people's vitamins for them, and I see a lot of really, really cheap forms of magnesium that just act as a laxative, like oxide. I see that in a lot. Calm, I believe like Calm, that's one of them that has like a really cheap form. So make sure you're having a glycinate, glycerophosphate. Those are the 2 that I like the best before bed, and especially for perimenopause. Those are essential during perimenopause. The B vitamins, B12, for our energy, for red blood cell formation, for menstrual cycles, B12 is essential. And probiotics. This is another one because we have to address, like Kaylee talked about the gut health, we have to make sure we're adding in the good gut bacteria to counteract the bad ones. And on this slide, I was going to talk about pooping because I was so excited, but then Kaylee talked about it. So she stole my thunder.
Sure, girl, we love to talk about poop here.
We do. You should not see our group chats on a vacation. We get all excited about it. But I'm just going to reiterate hydration and going to the bathroom. And I will say, on the note of an electrolyte, I had labs done. I've had them done every 6 months for a few years, and I was consistently dehydrated. And my doctor couldn't figure out. He's like, why are you? I'm like, I drink so much water. I do not understand why my body is not absorbing this. And when I finally added an electrolyte first thing in the morning, I saw the difference. And my labs a few months ago finally were perfect. And he was so excited. And when I learned the science behind it, that our kidneys need those electrolytes after being fasted for 8 hours, bar none. It makes them absorb the water better. It makes them retain it better. When our kidneys get these electrolytes from the sodium, and don't think salt from processed food, think sodium from minerals, it maintains our pH level in our body. It maintains our blood flow. It helps the kidneys to basically absorb all that water and disperse it through all the cells. So think about it, even if you're taking a probiotic, if you haven't hydrated your body, none of that bad bacteria is flushing out. The liver needs all that water to help it. Every one of those organs needs that water and those electrolytes to help the organs keep that blood flow and the oxygen, all the water flowing through for the detoxification. And like she said again, eat fiber-rich foods, eat your veggies.
Okay, I am going to try to wrap us up I want to quickly give you guys just an overview of what we've been sharing with you is essentially what we call the hormone hierarchy. So we think about hormones, like Amy said in the beginning, we think about our sex hormones or our reproductive hormones. And that's actually, that title for those hormones is actually doing them a disservice, because if you're in menopause and you do have low estrogen, now the lower form of estrogen, which is called estrone, which is nowhere near as strong as estradiol, which is what we have in our reproductive years, you will feel the impact oftentimes in your brain. We have estrogen receptors in our brain. Testosterone, ladies, testosterone, things that it does, muscle mass and strength, bone health, libido, mood regulation, cognitive function, fat distribution, energy, vitality. So we call them our sex hormones, but because that's what we're most familiar with, but they play a lot of other roles in our body. But here's the thing. When those start to get dysregulated is when we start to notice. It's when we start to become very symptomatic. And then we're looking to figure out how do we tweak estrogen and progesterone and testosterone. But really, we need to go up the hierarchy and see, where did the problem begin? It began with our lifestyle, taking it back to that quote from the beginning. Lifestyle got you here, lifestyle will get you out. So number one, are you getting oxytocin every day? This is our joy hormone. How can you do that? Hugs, physical touch, time in nature, sunlight, music, laughter. So are you scheduling these things into your day? Literally think about it. I ask people, like, what are you doing to get oxytocin every day? We can look at their day and oftentimes they're doing nothing to get oxytocin. Oxytocin helps keep cortisol in check, our stress hormone. So Amy shared a lot of ways that we can work on cortisol. So when we've got oxytocin going and that's scheduled into the day, it's going to help with stress management along with all those tips that Amy gave us. When cortisol gets dysregulated, we become more insulin sensitive in the bad way, where our blood sugar becomes more dysregulated. Insulin is a very important hormone. Jamie just shared with you all the things you can do to help keep that blood sugar stable, which is going to help support healthy insulin. So when you work on the top of the hierarchy, you will naturally, all that positive impact will flow into those hormones that tend to get our attention every single day. So that's kind of like summarizing how all of these lifestyle things are impacting what we just shared with you guys. Now, there's been a lot of questions in the chat already, like, how do you get these minerals? Where do these supplements come from? What do you guys do for hydration first thing in the morning? Well, about a year and a half ago, I'm 47, I'm officially in menopause. I was towards the tail end of my perimenopause journey, and I was on the struggle bus to say the least. I've shared I was struggling with horrible anxiety. I was struggling with terrible insomnia, low libido. My mood was so tanked, and it was affecting everything in my life, including my relationship with my fiance. And I was searching for anything that would help me get back to me. And so, probably like a lot of you guys, I felt like even as a holistic health coach, even as someone who has studied this, I've done multiple certifications. I have a bookshelf full of 1,000-page books on hormone health over here that I have read and I have studied. And I still felt like I was throwing spaghetti at the wall trying to figure out how do I get all of this stuff back into balance. And one of the tools, in addition to the lifestyle shifts that I made that had such a powerful impact, was a product called Hydrate Detox. And when I first saw this and I started looking into the ingredients and studying the science behind it, I was like, this is freaking genius. This one thing replaced so many of the supplements that I was taking. I was able to simplify the routine that required me every morning to line up all my supplements. And then as I took them throughout the day, I'd put them back in the cabinet, back in the drawer, so I wouldn't forget what I had taken, what did I still need to take. It was expensive to keep track of my subscriptions. What did I need to order? But Hydrate and Detox helps pull water into your cells, like Jamie was telling us about. It also helps to hydrate the digestive tract so it can do its job, stimulating those gentle bowel movements, the contractions that have to happen in order for us to excrete, in order for us to detoxify our bodies. The potassium helps to do that. So we can reduce our toxic load, reduce endocrine disrupting chemicals. The magnesium, like Jamie said, 80% of us are deficient. This is magnesium citrate, so it helps with many, many processes that need to happen in our bodies every single day. Like Amy said, our stress response is depleting us of magnesium. So getting this every single day at daily levels is so important. It also has fiber and DE111, which is a highly studied proprietary probiotic that doesn't just help to build the good bacteria, reestablish those good communities and that estrobolome and everything we talked about, but it also acts as a digestive enzyme so that we can break down our proteins, our fats, and our carbohydrates into their usable pieces so our bodies can actually put them to work. And the hero ingredient to me is the L-glutathione. This is our body's master antioxidant. We have it in our bodies, but over 20, we start to get less and less of it, and lifestyle impacts how much we have and how usable it is. It works with the bile from our liver to bind up those endocrine disrupting chemicals so they can be flushed out. It also supports healthy inflammation levels, healthy cellular turnover, and a healthy gut. So one of my favorite products. That's what we're talking about when we talk about electrolytes first thing in the morning. I swapped my coffee for this, and it made a huge difference in my cravings, in my energy, in my brain fog. The next piece of this puzzle is a supplement known as the AM supplement. And it's very simple. It's 6 key ingredients: milk thistle, which is amazing for liver support, liver regeneration, detoxification; vitamin D3. I think we all know how vitamin D3 helps with the immune system, healthy bones, muscles, the nervous system. It has curcumin, which is an extract of turmeric, and that works with the bioperine. So the bioperine helps us to absorb the curcumin. Curcumin helps to reduce inflammation in the gut, so it helps support a healthy gut. It helps prevent the formation of free radicals. It helps basically inhibit things that destroy our gut health and cause inflammation systemically throughout our body. The black pepper extract helps not just with the absorption of curcumin, but with nutrient absorption in general. It boosts the effectiveness. The ginger root is a powerful antioxidant, great for healthy aging, reducing oxidative stress. It helps stimulate digestion. So all of these things also, they help support blood sugar. They help reduce inflammation. They increase mental clarity, and they enhance our energy. And then the last piece of this puzzle, when I first started incorporating this as my daily morning routine, which was now 15 months ago. Amy, could I get the next slide, please? The last piece for me was our marine collagen. Our marine collagen is farm-raised Japanese cod, and it is raised in pristine, pollutant-free waters. We have the certificate of analysis on it that we can actually look at. This is unheard of in the supplement industry to show us how truly pure it is. It's types 1, 2, and 3 collagen. So it's not just a beauty supplement, it's also a wellness supplement. So in addition to the hair, the skin, the nails, we also get support for the gut lining, the vaginal lining, the pelvic floor, the cervix. As you see the skin on your face starting to age, to thin, to sag, to wrinkle, that's happening on the inside as well. So collagen is so crucial to supporting those systems, giving them that structure. One of the ways I love hearing it described is like, if you have the box spring, it's giving you that support versus just trying to put a sheet on a floppy mattress, right? So that's how it started out for me. Then we recently came out with a product that we do hear so much about how protein is incredibly important, especially for women in hormonal support. It's crucial for blood sugar regulation, which Jamie was talking to us about. And a lot of people struggle to get adequate protein in every single day, especially first thing in the morning on busy schedules. So something that I've started doing, I leave at 5 a.m. to take my son to school. It's a little early for me to eat breakfast, but I like to have coffee to be alert and awake for the drive to school. I actually add my protein and hormone support to my coffee, but you can add it to water, you can add it to a smoothie. This is something I never did before because there was not really a protein that I felt strongly about incorporating into my routine, about the quality of it. Most protein shakes made me gassy, made me bloated, and hurt my digestion. So what is different about this protein? It's 20 grams of high quality absorbable protein that help retain and promote muscle mass. It's Canadian pea protein, which has the highest, most rigorous growing and regulatory standards, and it has the highest digestibility score. So it's great for people like me who are sensitive to other proteins, powder protein formulas. It has blue spirulina, which supports heavy metal detoxification. It's rich naturally in B12. So the bioavailable form, like Jamie was talking about, they're not all created equally. The pumpkin seed gives us an amino acid called tryptophan, which is great because it converts to serotonin, a mood boosting hormone, which then converts to melatonin to help us sleep. It's high in magnesium, which we've talked about over and over. That's so important for our stress response and our overall hormone health. High in zinc, which supports optimal thyroid function. It's also great for the prostate for men. It has all 9 essential amino acids and those fatty acids that Jamie was telling us that we really need to help with our brain health and our blood sugar regulation. It's third-party tested, and those tests are available for us to see. So no heavy metals, pesticides, herbicides, mold, or hormone disruptors. And it's only 70 calories. So it's not a meal. It actually is a protein and hormone support supplement. Okay, so this is what we want to share with you guys. We mentioned continuing education. We just threw a lot of information at you. How do you start to take all of this and go, what is it that I need right now? Is it stress management? Do I need to work on regulating my blood sugar? I want to work on my gut health, but wait, if my detoxification systems aren't optimized, if my drainage pathways aren't open, then, I might be working on my gut health. I might be improving my nutrition, but I'm not going to feel any better because I'm still loaded up with toxins. So where do I start? And Amy, can you give me the next slide, please? So we're going to offer something special for the month of October because we really want to help people dig into how do you address each of these systems, each of these areas in a way that feels manageable and sustainable in your life. We've given you a lot of tips. You can pick and choose a couple to add in, but in the month of October, if you decide to try either of these supplement sets that we've just shared with you and how they support the foundations of healthy hormones. The first is the routine, which is going to be the hydrate and detox with the morning supplement and the collagen. Option 2 would be the hydrate and detox with the morning supplement with the protein and hormone support triple boost. So either of these routines, when you purchase them in the month of October, we're going to give you a coupon code for continuing education. Amy, can you give us the next slide? So I created a course. It's called the Hormone Garage. I base this course off of how I work with my private clients one-on-one. My clients who pay $6,000 to go through this program with me personally, individually. I take them through all 6 of these modules to help them decode their symptoms, to understand their cycle and how to work with their bodies instead of against them, and to create a plan that's rooted in lifestyle adjustments that feels manageable and accessible on a day-to-day basis, not overwhelming and not like you have to completely change your entire life or live in a state of deprivation. So 6 modules, written and video lessons and tutorials. There's a workbook, which Amy, if you click that little video, it's going to quickly show you guys. This workbook is what takes this from a group coaching, just another lesson online, to the bio individuality of it. As you can see, there are quizzes, there are questions. They're going to help you assess your symptoms, assess, do I have high estrogen? Do I have low estrogen? Am I anovulatory? Am I cycling? Am I making progesterone? What's my stress level? Should I prioritize that or detoxification? There are simple quizzes that are going to tell you, where do you fall on the scale? How big of an issue is this for you? So you know where to start and then where to go next. By the end of this course and the end of this workbook, you will have a unique, personalized, customized plan to not just enhance your hormone health, but I would argue that because our hormones are the signalers that are calling all the shots throughout our body, it's going to optimize your overall well-being. So I normally charge for just the course $250. For private coaching for 6 months going through the course, it's over $6,000. But when you try one of the routines that we just shared with you in the month of October, we're going to give you a coupon code to join us in a group 6-week session of the Hormone Garage for just $25. So the code will go out when you order your routine. There is a Google form. So if you're ready to order, you're going to reach out to the person that invited you to this call, ask them for the link to either the routine, which includes the collagen, or the Vitality set, which has the triple boost protein. Ask them for that link. Once you place your order, they're going to give you a Google form. You just enter your name, your email, and your order number. And on the 30th of October, I will send everybody their coupon code plus the link to enroll in the course. It will open up for you to start going through it on November 1st. Every week for 6 weeks, we'll give you 2 call options. Jamie and I are going to lead these calls together, and we're going to walk you through each module. We're going to answer all of your questions. If you're stumped on something in the workbook, we're going to help you figure it out. So it's essentially the closest thing we could give you to private one-on-one hormone coaching at a group coaching price in a group coaching setting.
I'm blown away. I have to tell you guys, I purchased the Hormone Garage from Kaylee years back. And when she told me about this idea of opening it to our clients that wanted to try the Hue and Grace routine or the Vitality set, I like her generosity. Number one was just really moving to me, because we're here actually on a mission. You've heard from all 4 of us tonight, the struggles that we've had in our own personal lives. And over the last 2 years, we have talked to hundreds, if not thousands of women, one-on-one, who've been suffering in silence, who've been to the doctors, who've, like I mentioned earlier, who have been told, no, everything's fine. And yet they know that they're not fine. They can feel, they can see, they can have all of these symptoms that maybe they're common, but they are not normal. These are not normal symptoms. They're common because so many people are suffering and having similar issues, but they are not normal. And having access to something like the Hormone Garage is a way for you to really, really educate yourself in a way that you can transform your health. And it's, starting with lifestyle, which, like we said from the beginning, lifestyle is what got you here and lifestyle is what's going to get you out. So I know that the opportunity to do this in a group with experts over the next 6 weeks is just invaluable. So when she told me the $25 idea, I was like, sign me up, sign me up. And it's no wonder we maxed out this call tonight. So if you're here on the recording, I hope that you're hearing this before the end of October, because we'd love for you to join us as well. Again, you're going to reach out to the person who invited you to this call and ask them for the enrollment link. Once you place your order for either of the sets, they will also send you the link for the Google Doc to gain access for the enrollment for the Hormone Garage. So thank you. We're going to stop recording and take questions from our live audience tonight. Thank you.